Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to talk about, obviously, other than what's coming up. I think the thing for us, I think it's a huge opportunity for us to go on the road and try to rectify some of the issues we've had on the road. We have not played well on the road. We didn't handle an early start well earlier in the year. Didn't handle playing in a great environment well earlier in the year. And we got all those things in front of us. So we have an opportunity to go and fix it and go play better and go put a better product on tape. James Madison's a very good football team. I mean, they play really good team football. Offensively, they move the ball really well. They establish a run. They run the ball very effectively. They have a veteran quarterback who doesn't make mistakes, doesn't turn the ball over, operates the offense really well. But, I mean, make no mistake about it. I mean, he's not just a game manager. He can hurt you with his legs and throwing the football. I think he's got a lot of arm talent, to be honest with you. I think he throws it really well. And I think he's a really effective runner as well that you better account for. Defensively, they make it really hard. They're stingy. They get extra hats to the football. Truthfully, I think it's one of the best tackling secondaries that we've played. Their safeties and their corners really don't miss a lot of tackles, and I think that's the difference in a lot of games. They do a really good job. When the ball gets to the free hat, they get it on the ground. And then now you add in on special teams. 2 weeks ago they take one back for a kickoff return for a touchdown. That certainly broke the game open. So it's a good football team, but we have a lot of opportunities to go out and go fix some issues that we've had earlier in the year and go play a really good team on the road and try to do that better than we've done it so far.
You mentioned the tackling. It's a team that's only given up 62 first downs in 5 games and averaging giving up only about 80 yards a game on the ground. What do they do besides tackle? What do they do that makes them so effective defensively?
Well, I mean, they're pretty multiple. They'll do some things. They base out of a 4-down front, but they jump into some kind of unique looks. A lot of teams get unique and exotic on 3rd downs. They'll do it on 1st down. I mean, 2nd and 4. They'll jump in and out of these things. So preparation-wise, there's some issues with that. But they're big up front. I think they do a good job up front. They're really sound. Their linebackers run to the football. And I mean, it goes back. You tackle well. That makes a whole lot of difference. I mean, when a 6-yard run stays a 6-yard run and doesn't turn into a 40-yard run, well, that's a huge part of the game, and that's something we've talked about with our team, is going back and as a staff and going back with the players and showing them, hey, like all the plays that that have turned into explosives, that were manageable, that were easy to keep from being explosive plays. There's not a lot of those on the tape. They make you earn it all the way down the field, and the reality of it is it's hard, to put together a drive all the way down the field where you have to nickel and dime it and go and finish drives and score touchdowns. At some point, you screw it up, end up behind the sticks, and then they're able to take advantage of it. I think it's a really good football team, man. I think they play together. I think they play with a lot of energy, and I think they play complementary ball.
What did Georgia State do well against them to keep that such a competitive game?
Well, they played great on defense. Georgia State, I thought, did a really good job on defense. They flew around. They were very physical. I thought the extra hats to the ball were huge. They limited the explosive plays. You go back to even the Georgia Southern game. Georgia Southern's did a lot of good things on defense. The explosives killed them. They had an 88-yard touchdown on a kickoff return, which obviously is not defense. They had a 40-yard touchdown run. They had a 17-yard touchdown pass on 3rd and 14, and then they had another long touchdown run it was all explosive plays, got them off kilter. And what I have to say about their offense is when they get the explosive play, they capitalize and they finish those drives. So Georgia State was really able to eliminate those explosive plays. They were able to kind of keep it bottled up a little bit. I thought their linebackers played really well. I don't know much about them. We don't play them, haven't seen them much on tape, but their linebackers were downhill and really physical tacklers against 2 backs that I think are really good backs. So, they challenged them all the way down the field and didn't let those explosive plays happen. And I think JMU, they are going to establish the run. They are going to pound the rock, and they're really good at it. And they're going to pound you, and they're going to test your run fits over and over and over and over again. And then when you're out of position one time or you don't make the tackle, it pops, turns into a big one. Maybe it's a touchdown or it's just an explosive down in the red zone, and they find ways to finish drives. So they've got a formula to win, and I think what Georgia State did was they didn't give up the explosives that turned into those momentum plays to finish drives.
For you this last week, there has to be in the process. All right, we don't have a new offense, but we have a quarterback with different skill sets than what we had prior to that. So what about trying to massage there's still a little newness there. They got a little film on lunch, but not total. So talk about that process as a play caller.
Yeah, I mean, you always try to play off of your player's strengths. I mean, the reality is, look, I mean, he's still pretty limited in practice, and has been. So, not to get too much into that before we need to, but this isn't as simple as, I mean, he was banged up pretty good at the end of that game. So, I'd love to tell you all the injury report is all good and we're all moving forward, but there's a lot of things that we're still working through there. So, you got to have a contingency plan, for what can happen, for who's going to be able to go and be able to be effective. I mean, it's trending up, but the reality is he was pretty hobbled last week and was not the same guy. So, for us, we got to keep working through all that and having contingency plans for both.
You mentioned last week, including lunch, a number of different injuries on the team. Have you any update on that after the bye week, including guys like Caden Jensen?
Caden's trending in the right direction. I think he'll be good to go. I think Duggar will probably be good to go. Zylan's probably 50-50 right now. Lunch, I would say, is definitely trending that way. If you'd asked me this, last Tuesday, I would have told you I have no idea. I mean, other than that, not a whole lot. Xavier Brown ought to be back. Mackey's back to full go, which is good. But a lot of those O linemen, they're done for the year, so that's not going to change. With some of those guys that you wish you had back, that won't change.
What about Rob?
Rob's good. Sorry, yeah, Rob he's been back in practicing really well, playing really good. So that's a good thing too. Shelton's still out with what he had with the hamstring. It was a pretty significant rupture essentially. That'll take a little while.
What is it going to take, do you think, for Jaden and Ladarius to be more productive to what it seems like their potential?
Kadarius, I'm guessing Wade is what you, yeah. I mean, just consistency. I mean, that's the thing with Kadarius is I think the flashes are really high, but the consistency is not where you want it to be. And he had a really good week of practice, but he's done that before and it's been up and down a little bit. And that's what we're looking for is we just need the consistency there. It's hard to depend on people. I think whenever you just don't know exactly what you're going to get. I mean, whenever if the highs are up here and then the lows are down here, I mean, you'd rather the guy that's right here all the time in between. So just the consistency is what we need, and he's done some good things for us this year, made some good plays, and at times hasn't played great. Jaden, is kind of the same thing, to be honest with you, which was the past. That's what he's been. But this fall camp and the way had a great camp and all this stuff, and the play's just been a little inconsistent. So it's pretty simple. You work really hard for a role, you own that role, and then you work hard in that role that you earn to earn more. So if you want to play more, then continue to play better. You want the ball to go to you in critical situations, and you got to continue to play better. And both those guys are capable of it. We just need them to continue to do it and be consistent in it. And we talk about it a lot. It's funny. Sometimes it's one game, it's one play, it's one drive that all of a sudden it clicks and it snaps, and then there you go, right? And you have something. So, sometimes you just need something good to happen for you. And they'll continue to get opportunities, but they need to capitalize on them when we get them.
From watching James Madison against Georgia Southern this past weekend, what did you see from them that you feel good about heading into the matchup?
Against Georgia State, you're talking about? Yeah. I mean, look, they're a good football team. They're a really good football team. I mean, we're going to have to go play a really good football game to be able to win. I mean, I wouldn't sit here and say I watched the game and feel like, all of a sudden the code's cracked. I mean, You got to go up, you got to show up, you got to go play well on offense, defense, and in special teams. We got to tackle really well on offense. We got to be efficient. We got to find a way to run the football and be efficient in that, and be physical down the field blocking, and we got to hit some shots over the top. I mean, we got to, we've got to be able to create some more pass game. I think that's something we did better the last 2 weeks. We've thrown it better, thrown and caught it better, and we got to continue to do that. We're still not as efficient in the throw game as I'd like to be. That just might not be what we are this year, and that's okay. But we got to be able to create some plays in the throw game, and and that's just got to play good football. I mean, this is a good football team, it's not like you look at it and say, well, we're just going to run the ball down their throats. That ain't going to happen. It's not just going to drop back and throw it. We're not built that way up front right now. That's just not who we are. So we're going to have to play our game, but we're going to have to do it really well.
So if Zylan plays, and even in Zylan and the depth of the running back, we've seen Blanco and he's done great. But who else is ready to play if they have to?
Darrell Smith. Yeah. He's if Zylan can't go, it'll be Bill and Blanco mostly, and then Darrell will be ready to go. He's going to be a really good player. And I mean, we've got a really good situation at running back. If it wasn't quite what it is, he'd be playing right now. So there's no hesitation in us playing him at all. I mean, I still believe in redshirting guys when you can, and when you should. And I don't believe in burning his red shirt as the, maybe third or fourth back. That was the whole thing coming out of camp was who's the third back. And we felt like Steven had a really good camp, and we felt like, well, look, to go play 2 drives a game, let's play Steve-O and try to keep Darrell's red shirt intact. If you didn't have Steven, it would have been Darrell the whole year, and we'd have been fine with that.
And he can handle all the blocking, and I know he can catch. I mean, he can handle it.
We feel really good about Darrell, 100%. Yeah, if he's got to go play, he'll play really good for us. Yep.
In your eyes, how pivotal is this weekend, considering you moved to 2-0 in Sun Belt play? On top of that, get your first road win of the season.
Well, I think this is a huge opportunity this week. Getting out to a 2-0 start in conference, even though it's 2 Eastern Division games, I mean, that's a shot in the arm. This is a good football team too. This would be a great win to be able to go on the road and win one on the road. Winning on the road is important. Last year that was probably the thing that made us a little bit unique, was our ability to go on the road and play really well and win. I think it's huge in a lot of ways. Really good football team. That win, validates, hey, this is a good team. You can go beat them. That's a heck of a win. Being on the road, getting a chance to go do that better than we've done it, and certainly kind of feeling like maybe in some areas we've made progress. It's kind of funny. It's like, offensively early on, we just didn't have much confidence, in the first, 3 games, just kind of really just didn't have a lot of confidence. And it feels like we kind of maybe got a little bit more of that, and we're playing a little bit looser, and we're playing a little bit faster. Defensively, kind of maybe lost our swagger a little bit there in the last couple games. And it's like, okay, well, let's just go get that back. We've shown we can play really well on defense at times. It's just trying to put it all together and making a run. It's weird. Like winning a conference championship and playing really well in the back half of the year, it kind of requires just gelling at the right time. And that's something that it's really important. The NFL is funny. All that matters is finding a way to get in the playoffs, right? And playing good in the playoffs. College football is a little bit different, because, getting in the playoffs requires for us being perfect, right? Well, that's out the window now. But winning a conference championship, which is really important, requires almost being perfect in conference play. We lost 1 conference game last year, and we almost didn't host, So it's like you understand that they all matter a whole lot. So it's a huge game for us this week, and it's one that we're excited about the opportunity. And you got to go on the road and go take them, man. They're hard to win on the road, and from everything I've heard, this is a heck of a place to play on the road.
Have you seen on film them this year where their defense has played what you would call a running quarterback?
I would say, against Liberty, their quarterback ran it pretty well against Liberty, to be honest with you. I would say I don't want to say he's a runner first, you know what I mean? But yeah, I would say like he was a threat to run, I'd say, every snap, if that makes any sense. Like that's always a part of it. Doesn't seem like they really changed what they do a whole lot. you know, they play gap sound football, you know, and they have people for the quarterback read on the quarterback runs and the zone reads and things like that. There's always, you know, they play responsible football, you know, option sound, and you know, they're ready for the quarterback pool. There's a guy that's there. They play with good eye discipline, but I don't think it's really changed what they do a whole lot. I'm guessing that's kind of what you were getting at. Nah, not a whole lot. You know, look the same. You know, Liberty's a little unique. Obviously, we know Jamie well from whenever he was at Coastal, and their offense is a little different. It's not quite as it's a little bit unique in the run schemes and things they do. But you know, I didn't find the defense changed a whole lot. You know, really.